Hey there, and welcome to my first and most likely only one of two Stardew Valley Lore videos. Stardew Valley is one of my favorite games of all time, and recently while having to quarantine myself I wanted a relaxing and upbeat game to play. So, Stardew Valley was by far the best choice in my library, but while playing I discovered something in the game which I hadn't expected. While we're all busy working on our farm, a war is happening in the Stardew Valley universe, which we don't really get to learn much about. But for this video I would like to analyze what we do have and present you with as a complete story as we can get. So, Stardew Valley, which is the location which we are playing in, is located in the country called the Ferngul Republic. We know very little about this country, other than that Stardew Valley is located in it, and that one of its bigger cities is called Zuzu City, and another bigger settlement is called Grampleton. There's also Castle Village and Prairie Island. None of these characters we see particularly a lot of. But something else we know is that the Ferngul Republic is at war with a country to the far south of Stardew Valley, across the Gem Sea, which is the sea bordering the game map to the south. This country which the Ferngul Republic is at war with is called the Kotoro Empire. We don't know a lot about this war or about the Empire in general, but one of the first mentions of the war that the player can come across is in dialogue by Sam, telling us that his father is a soldier fighting against the Empire and that is why he's absent from the town. He also tells you that when his father was there, he told his children terrible stories about the Empire and that the soldiers of this Empire are apparently ruthless against them. Another early mention of the war in your playthrough can be found in the library, where a book can be found that doesn't have any contents other than the title, and it's called Is War with the Kotoro Empire Really Necessary? A Unique Perspective by P.W. Kronshauer. And there's also a book called A History of the Kotoro Empire. Now, this is all the information that players will be able to find in their first year of the game, other than a very sneaky mention by the traveling trader who says that she's from the Kotoro Empire and that her goods are so ridiculously expensive because she smuggles them from the Empire over the war lines. But once the second year of the game starts, Kent, the father of Sam and Vincent, returns to the village after fighting overseas. Judging by the uniform that he is wearing, which we can see in his portrait, it features 2 chevrons, and that means that he at least had a noteworthy rank. Since we don't really know what 2 chevrons indicate in the Ferngul Republic, that is basically all we know of him, as in some armies in the world 2 chevrons can mean either corporal or sergeant or a completely other rank, so we don't know exactly what kind of rank Kent had other than something better than just the basic, very basic private class. Anyway, Kent reveals in some of his dialogue that he has been stuck in a prison camp of the Empire during the war, and we have to presume that he was either freed by the Ferngul forces or somehow escaped, as we don't really know how he got out. But we do know that Kent unfortunately suffers from quite heavy PTSD as a result of his war experiences, as we can see in his 3 Heart event where the sound of popping popcorn reminds him of the war. This means that the war is actually fought with guns, as the sound of popping popcorn sounds like machine guns. This is important to note, since while some of the aspects of Stardew Valley's universe are similar to our own, it's a weird mix of reality and fantasy, as creatures like goblins, mermaids and dwarves also appear, and magic and spirits are quite big influence in the game through the Junimo. So it's important to note that the war is most likely fought with guns and likely against other humans, so not against some nation of magical creatures. This is once again made likely by the traveling merchant, who also seems to be human, although the fact that her cart is being pulled by a purple pig with a fez, I do speculate that the Empire is a bit more exotic and outlandish compared to the Ferngul Republic, which in many aspects seems to be modeled after life in many countries on Earth. As a side note though, we even have this map of the Stardew Valley universe. We don't know which countries here are the Ferngul Republic or the Kotoro Empire. We actually don't know anything about this map, but it's decidedly not Earth, so if you doubt that this is like on Earth, it isn't. This is a completely unique universe. Although, we do know that the Empire is not on a completely different technological level, as we know that both the Republic and the Empire use planes in their warfare, since we can find posters of fighter planes of the Empire and the Republic in Harvey's bedroom, who by the way wanted to become a fighter pilot but wasn't able to. That being said, what we can say about the war and how it's going, well, for one it seems that the Ferngul Republic is most likely the invading party. They're invading the Empire. Now, whether this means that the Republic is at fault for this conflict is hard to say, as the invasion may have resulted from any unknown event. But the fact that the soldiers are fighting overseas and those captured end up in local prison camps of the Gotoro Empire, I think we can conclude that the war is being fought on Gotoro territory across the Gem Sea, presumably far away from the Republic. Or if it's not Gotoro territory, maybe the Ferngul Republic and the Gotoro Empire are both fighting over a piece of land that nobody has colonized or something like that. Which could also explain the Gotoro prison camps if part of the place that they're fighting over is controlled by the Empire. Now, the other reason as to why I think the Republic is the invader is the fact that the citizens of Stardew Valley do not seem to be scared of conscription and being drafted into the army. It seems that only the real regular career soldiers are fighting overseas and the regular citizens aren't being drafted to fight, at least not now. You see, usually when a country is being attacked, the first thing which generally happens is a mobilization of the population, with men and women being drafted to defend the nation. But because this is decidedly not happening and the Republic only uses career soldiers, it's likely that this conflict is an intervention, for example like the US invasion of Iraq, where only career soldiers were being deployed on foreign lands. Or if it's fighting over some piece of land with the Gotoro Empire, which is from a third party, so the Empire and the Republic are at war over a piece of land which isn't theirs and they want to let it become theirs, then it's also most likely that it's being fought by career soldiers. But I think an invasion of the Gotoro Empire is slightly more likely, since the traveling merchant says that she smuggles stuff out of the Gotoro Empire into the Ferngul Republic. So, I don't know, that gives me the feeling that the war is being fought on Gotoro territory. Real life comparisons aside, the citizens also don't get asked to turn off their lights in the evening, despite Stardew Valley being located directly at the border of the sea and the Empire supposedly being directly to the south of that sea and directly to the south of Stardew Valley. So the Ferngul Republic doesn't seem to be scared of being hit by planes or by attacks by boats. Now, another source which kind of gives us a clue as to the war being on Gotoro territory or being on a third-party territory where the two factions are fighting over is the book in the library, where it's literally being asked whether it's necessary for them to go to war, which kind of gives me the feeling of it being an intervention on the Ferngul side. But yeah, make of that what you will. One of the last things that we can say is that it seems that this war has been going on for quite some years and that it's likely still going on, as we know that Kent, who has been in the army for quite some time, mentions that he has lost many comrades which he no longer remembers the face of, and he also mentions to Jody, his wife, in a letter that he's been away for a very long time. You can even help him remember some of his comrades by doing the quest with the war memento, which you can give to him, which is a picture of one of his lost comrades. Now, we don't really know why Kent returned home, that it's most likely I think he was sent home because of his PTSD, or maybe he's simply on permanent leave, as even after Kent's return, the traveling trader still mentions her goods being smuggled, so there's likely still a war situation going on south, or at least tensions. Anyway, that's all the information and speculation that I can do on the subjects. Perhaps in a future update, which is a really long way off if they ever come at all, judging by Concerned Ape's words. Or even in his next game, Haunted Chocolatier. I really don't know how to pronounce that, I'm not English. If that takes place in the same universe, we may hear something more on the subject, but right now, that's basically all we can say. So, if you enjoyed this video, you may want to subscribe and click that bell icon, as I wanted to make one more video about Stardew Valley Lore, at least at some point in the future. There's another subject that I found quite interesting. Maybe I'll do more, I really don't know, because in the meantime, if you like this kind of content and enjoy the Elder Scrolls series of games, you may want to check out my regular channel, Imperial Knowledge, where I basically make weekly content and I make Elder Scrolls Lore videos. I originally wanted to upload this video there, but most people seem to want it on a separate channel, because that channel only has Elder Scrolls stuff, so yeah, I kinda get that. So I made this little channel. I expect more random lore stuff here, which isn't Elder Scrolls. I don't know, I wanted to do something about Fire Emblem in the past, but perhaps I can do that here as well. I don't know. Anyway, no vocal mention for my Patreon supporters here, since they don't know I'm doing this, and since they don't directly support this channel, but maybe I should. But I don't have the list in front of me, so thank you to my Patreon supporters on my regular channel, I guess, for supporting me with these videos. And we'll see. Subscribe and all those things, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.